"Why is my mom's photo in your mansion?" The voice was young, low, and shaking, but each word struck like glass against marble. In the grand foyer of the Whitmore estate, every clock seemed to stop. Evelyn Whitmore, owner of half the downtown skyline, widow of a senator, face of every charity gala in Georgia, stood halfway down the staircase. Her manicured hand gripped the polished rail as though gravity had doubled. The boy at the door was thin, tall for 15, his hoodie damp from the rain. His skin gleamed bronze against the white marble floor. His eyes, an amber shade that did not flinch. In his trembling hand, a worn photograph. Evelyn's voice barely rose above a whisper. "Who are you?" "I'm Caleb. Caleb Johnson." He lifted the photo higher. "That's my mom. That's her in your frame." Thunder cracked beyond the windows, and the chandelier quivered. Caleb had grown up in the cracked brick maze of Southside Atlanta, streets where sirens sang lullabies and buses coughed smoke at every corner. His mother, Naomi Johnson, had worked double shifts at the university cafeteria, humming gospel songs as she stirred pots big enough to bathe in. She'd been gone 3 years now. The doctors said heart failure. Caleb called it working herself to death. Since then, he'd lived with Aunt Lydia, a hairdresser whose laughter was louder than her apartment fan. Money was tight, dreams tighter. Caleb kept his mother's only photograph, a faded Polaroid of her smiling in a nurse's uniform, folded in his wallet. Then came the scholarship program. A city foundation was offering 1-week internships for underprivileged students to shadow business leaders. Caleb was assigned by pure chance to Whitmore Holdings, a corporation whose name appeared on almost every skyscraper billboard. He had no idea it would lead him to his mother's face staring back from a golden picture frame. The bus had dropped him at the iron gates of the Whitmore estate that morning. He'd expected security guards, maybe a buzzer. Instead, a quiet man in uniform had opened the gates as if Caleb were expected. The mansion stretched like a palace. Columns, fountains, and roses blooming despite the chill. He'd walked through halls lined with oil portraits of long-dead Whitmores. But one photo wasn't painted. It was real. A color print framed in silver, set on a mahogany table near the piano room. The woman in it was laughing, head tilted, eyes bright with something private and kind. The exact smile Caleb saw in the mirror every morning. He'd stared for almost a full minute before the butler spoke. "Something wrong, young man?" Caleb's mouth went dry. "That picture, who is she?" "Mrs. Whitmore keeps that one in particular memory. Best not to ask questions your first day, son." But Caleb couldn't stop thinking about it. Not during the boardroom tour, not through the cafeteria lunch, not on the ride home. By evening, as storm clouds rolled in, he returned. And that's when the question burst out of him. Evelyn descended the last step, heels silent against marble. "Where did you get that photograph?" "It's my mom's," Caleb said. "She used to work at Grady Hospital." "But why's her picture here?" For a moment Evelyn's face softened. Something like recognition flickered, then vanished. "You're mistaken. That's someone else." Caleb shook his head. "No, ma'am. I remember that blouse. I took this picture myself before school one day." The butler appeared, nervous. Evelyn waved him away. "Come inside before you catch pneumonia." He followed her into a study lined with first edition books and the faint scent of lavender. Evelyn poured tea, her fingers trembling. "Your mother's name again?" "Naomi Johnson." Evelyn's teacup froze mid-air. A drop spilled, burning her skin. But she didn't flinch. Outside, the thunder rolled again. Evelyn had once been Evelyn Hart, a nursing student at the same hospital where Naomi worked 20 years ago. Before she married Senator Charles Whitmore, before she became untouchable. The memory she'd buried clawed its way back. 2 young nurses sharing night shifts, swapping lunches, dreaming of changing the world. Until the night of the fire. Naomi had saved a patient from a burning ward. Evelyn had frozen. In the chaos, a child had gone missing, and blame followed Evelyn like smoke. Naomi took the blame publicly to protect her friend's career. Evelyn married into money soon after. Naomi disappeared into silence. Now that past stood in front of her, grown, asking questions. Evelyn tried to smile. I knew a Naomi once, yes, but that was a lifetime ago. Caleb's jaw clenched. Then why did you lie about knowing her? You're being rude, young man. I just want to know how her photo got here. Did she work for you? Evelyn rose sharply. Enough. Go home before I call someone to drive you. He stepped back, heart pounding. The same way his mom used to look when cornered, hurt behind anger. He left without another word. But the mansion's gates didn't close fast enough to lock away curiosity. That night Caleb couldn't sleep. He hacked through old internet archives at the public library, typing Naomi Johnson Grady Hospital Fire 2005. One forgotten local article popped up. Nurse Naomi Johnson credited for saving patient during blaze. Another nurse treated for smoke inhalation refuses to comment. Attached was a blurry photo. Evelyn Hart, unmistakable even beneath the soot. Caleb printed it, slid it beside his mom's picture. 2 women, 1 story. But another headline appeared beside it. Hospital records sealed after malpractice investigation. He clicked. Access denied. He didn't notice the man in a suit watching from the corner table, tapping a phone. Next morning, a black sedan waited outside Aunt Lydia's apartment. Polite driver stepped out. Miss Whitmore sent me. She'd like to speak with you privately. Caleb hesitated. Aunt Lydia was at work. Curiosity outweighed fear. He climbed in. The car drove not to the mansion but to an abandoned hospital wing wrapped in vines. Inside waited Evelyn, her coat fluttering in the breeze from broken windows. This place was torn down years ago, she said. Your mother and I worked here. Caleb swallowed. Then tell me the truth. She turned toward the burned wall, fingers tracing scorch marks. I owed your mother a debt I could never repay. She covered my mistake. I thought she'd died. Caleb's voice broke. She did. 3 years ago. Silence filled the hall. Evelyn looked at him then, truly looked. The shape of his eyes, the tilt of his chin. A tear slipped before she could stop it. Caleb, did your mother ever mention a donor paying for her treatments when you were a baby? He frowned. Yeah, some charity fund. Why? Evelyn's breath hitched. That fund wasn't charity. It was me. She reached into her coat and pulled a letter. Edges yellowed. Naomi's handwriting. If anything happens to me, tell him the truth. His mother loved him enough to forgive the world that broke her. Caleb read the next line and froze. Tell Evelyn I kept my promise. He never learned what she lost that night. He looked up, confused. What she lost? Evelyn whispered. My baby. He died in that fire. Then, trembling, your mother carried you out instead. The world tilted. What are you saying? I think you're the child she saved that night. The one everyone thought perished. Caleb staggered back. That's impossible. My birth certificate was recreated after the fire. She renamed you Johnson. Look. Evelyn handed him an old ID bracelet from the hospital nursery. Burnt plastic with half a name. Cal. DNA was the only proof left. Evelyn offered a trembling hand. Let's find out together. But before they could leave, footsteps echoed. The man in the suit emerged, Whitmore's legal advisor, Mr. Hale. Mrs. Whitmore, he said coldly. You are making a mistake. The board won't allow a scandal. This isn't about the board, she said. Hale pulled a gun. Then it's about survival. Caleb froze. Evelyn stepped between them. Hale, please. He's just a child. Not after tonight. Lightning flashed through shattered glass. Caleb grabbed a loose metal rod from the floor. The shot rang out. Evelyn gasped, clutching her arm. Caleb swung. The rod knocked the gun aside. Hale fell dazed. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the police. Caleb knelt beside Evelyn, pressing his hoodie to her wound. Stay with me. She smiled weakly. You sound like her. At Grady Memorial 3 days later, police filled the corridors. Mr. Hale was arrested for obstruction and fraud. He'd buried the old hospital files to protect the Whitmore reputation. DNA tests confirmed what no one expected. Evelyn's lost infant and Naomi's son were the same person. The news broke nationwide. Billionaire discovers son raised in poverty after hospital cover-up. Caleb avoided cameras, sitting beside Evelyn's hospital bed. You don't owe me anything, he said. Evelyn smiled through tears. Then let me owe her memory instead. She announced a new foundation in Naomi Johnson's name, funding nursing scholarships for single mothers. Months later, the Whitmore mansion no longer felt like marble and ghosts. Caleb's laughter echoed down its halls as he worked on his college essays. Aunt Lydia had her own salon now, paid for by Evelyn's quiet generosity. On the mantel, 2 photos stood side by side. Naomi Johnson, smiling in her nurse's uniform, and a new one, Caleb and Evelyn at the scholarship launch, hands clasped. Sometimes, late at night, Caleb still whispered toward the ceiling, Thanks, Mom, for saving us both. Some truths hide for decades, waiting for one brave question to wake them. And sometimes, justice begins not with anger, but with forgiveness strong enough to bridge color, class, and time itself. Why is my mom's photo in your mansion? Because love leaves traces the world can't erase.